different is great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake of
technology, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.
All right, what is up, everybody? Good afternoon. Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovese. And look, if you're tuning in for the first time, I want you to go ahead and make sure you're tuning in every single week, because we go live every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time here on LinkedIn. And actually, we're going out to YouTube as well. So we got a good diversified audience. But listen, we bring great guests to you every single week. You know, my co-host and I, Steve Spiro, we go back about 27 years. We are two former shy guys, two introverts, two kids that were picked on as children. Always, well, I don't know about Steve, but I was the last to be chosen for any team. It was never a good thing. And, you know, even as we got into adulthood, Steve came together. I think we were in our late 20s or so, something like that, through a common business. We had common mentors in life, and both clueless, although Steve wasn't as clueless as me, that's for sure. Steve had already had a couple of black belts in martial arts discipline under his belt, so to speak. He was also owning his own advertising agency. I was still trying to figure things out by the time we came together. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about leadership. I didn't know anything about relationships. So here we are today. Our paths came back together through networking. And so that's the thing that brought us together. And listen, that's what it's all about. We want you to be coming together and bringing people together through networking, because without networking, we can't come across the people that we need to accomplish the goals in life that we want to accomplish. I've definitely learned this. I started out as a solopreneur and kind of am today in one of my companies, but I was only going to do things on my own. I didn't want anybody interfering with what I was doing because people slowed me down. And even though I had developed relationship skills and I had a good network, I was just doing it on my own because it was easier and faster that way. But they say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with people. And so I realized that I had bigger goals. So everything I do today now always includes other people and partners in my businesses. And Steve and I are partners here today on the Master Connector Show. So fast forward 27 years later, Steve is a master connector. I don't know if I'm a master connector, but I'm definitely a great connector. And we got a great guest for you today. I'm not going to introduce him yet, but I want to bring my co-host, my friend for 27 years, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
What's going on, Rob G? And yes, I was also the last to be picked. So every show you speak, I learned something new about you and how much even more we have in common. So crazy stuff. Yeah. But I appreciate you. You've been an incredible blessing to the show. And I know our community appreciates you big time. And it's going to be a great show. But what's going on, friends? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. You know, today we're going to be talking about serve before selling. Okay. And listen, before we get into that, I want to just say, listen, you know, Rob said it, right? This is the Connector Show, Master Connector Show. So get in the comments. Tell us where you're tuning in from. Tell us where you're from, you know, your city, your state, your country, right? Get in and connect with each other. It's a great opportunity to connect with each other, you know, I've learned this in networking. The magic is in the follow-up. It's not in adding a new connection, but in following up and taking it on. And in fact, the guest you're going to hear today is an example of that through networking and taking it off of the platform like LinkedIn. But anyway, so again, we're talking about serve before selling. And you know, we will emphasize the importance of prioritizing service over sales in building meaningful relationships. To me, that's the secret sauce here. It's all about impact. It's all about people. It's about relationships. It's not about pitching. Like, God, let's ditch the pitch, you know. But by focusing on bringing value to everyone you meet, right? Being others focused, being a way to add value, right? You foster trust and credibility, which naturally leads to stronger, more genuine connections, right? To me, that's what it's all about, right? It's how do you add value and make an impact on people, right? So building your network through service not only enhances your reputation, but also creates a foundation for sustainable success. I've shared this publicly, but and don't go pitching me for financial services, but over the last 3 years, because of what I've done with being others focused and being vulnerable, I've had the best financial years of my life. And I believe it's because of these principles that we're speaking about today. And but ultimately, serving others before attempting to sell ensures long-term mutually beneficial relationships. And to me, that's what it's all about. It's win-win, right? It's not about, getting something. It's about how can you win together. So it's going to be a great show. If you're ready, I'd like you to type in the comments right now. Remember, we're LinkedIn participants, not LinkedIn lurkers. So we're going to be participating today. And so, put questions in. But right now, put in "Let's go" in the comments. And I'm going to have my man, my co-host, my good friend, Rob, bring on our guest. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Always looking forward to this show. And today is going to be awesome. I actually just got a chance to chat with this guy just for a few minutes before we went on. I hadn't met him before, but sometimes you just click with people, like you're on the same page. I love when that happens. But listen, Steve Ramona is a unique super connector. He specializes in building partnerships through his personalized introductions. Steve's introductions have been incredibly successful, resulting in, get this, $25 million in deals over the past 11 years. He has a podcast called Doing Business with a Servant's Heart, with an audience of over 40,000 people per episode. And he also has a TV show called Together We Serve, which has an audience of 1.2 million viewers monthly. Steve's shows feature CEOs, founders, presidents, and entrepreneurs with incredible stories. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Steve Ramona. Hey, Steve.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm excited to be on. This is going to be an epic show.
For sure.
No doubt about it. No doubt. It is going to be incredible. And we're so blessed to have you. And as Rob's reading, I know we talked and I'm like, I got to have this guy on the show, but now I really know why we have you on the show. You've got an incredible resume. It's pretty awesome. So appreciate you. But speaking of awesome, I want to say great hello and thank you for Jeff Schwartz being on here, and great having you on here, Jeff. And of course, Yolanda, amazing community member here. And she's just an incredible supporter of our show. And John Braden, Mr. John Braden, let's go. Great seeing you, sir. And Yolanda is obviously welcoming you, Steve. So going to be an incredible show. But let's get into it, my man. I'm just excited. I mean, listen, we got the Master Connector and the Master Super Connector, the Super Connector on here. So let's dig into this. And of course, Rob is an unofficial Master Connector. He is definitely a great connector as well. So it's going to be incredible. But so we want to talk about examples, right? So hashtag examples. And a big part of our show is telling stories and giving examples. So if you can you share for us some examples on how serving before selling has positively impacted your business relationships? I know I shared a little bit of my intro, but I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephen. And again, thank you, Yolanda, John, and Jeff. One of the great stories is I'm doing 20 or 30 referrals a week, maybe more. So I did a referral about 6 weeks ago for a young lady and was hoping to connect her with some great people. And something happened with her kids, they're disabled kids, and she couldn't connect with them. It took about 4 or 5 weeks. She missed out and finally connected with them and apologized. So I saw those. As you do your referrals, you see the response. Well, I get an email like the next day, and it says, "Steve, I am speechless. Oh my God, I've met with all 3 people. I thought I was going to bring, what's the word I want to use? Bring rewards, help them, support them."
Okay.
And she goes, "You know what happened is they supported me. She's got 2 disabled kids. She's struggling because of financials and the journey going through that with disabled kids. She's been struggling with for 8 years. Those 3 people in 3 phone calls changed her life." And literally, I could see this email. I keep it because that's the power of connecting. You don't know what shoes people are walking in, but when you take the action to do it, I just helped her out. And I'm actually meeting with her today, by matter of fact, to catch up and follow up. The other one was I got a call about 2 months ago from an owner of a network marketing company making millions. "My assistant saw your podcast. I love your heart. I love your connecting. I'd love to work with you." Never happened in my 62 years ever. And here's the thing I did too is with my networking guys, I answered the phone. 3 years ago, "Oh, that's a number I don't know. I'm not going to answer." Well, I picked up the answer. "Hey, this is so-and-so. They're doing that." I'm like, listen to this guy, like, this is crazy. But that's 2 things, your network and service. People want to work with you.
Great. Yeah, it's interesting, right? So, like, I got on with somebody who also calls himself a super connector. I'm not going to mention his name, and he's like, "All right, we're going to do this New York style. Who do you want to be referred to?" Like, he didn't even know who I was. Yeah, I mean, I have a profile, and yeah, you could do some research. But listen, to me, it's about connection, and it's letting the two little kids play in the sandbox together and get to know each other before you're gonna, you know, let's date a little bit before we get married. I mean, like, come on, like, I mean, I get it, and he wasn't asking, that from me, like, to give him referrals, but he wanted
Yeah.
to give me referrals just generically. Like, I'm like, yeah, but getting to know each other so you could really help people is so crucial. So much appreciate that for sure. Rob, you have
That's
something to say, I could tell.
Steve, I'm gonna jump in. That's something I
Yeah.
learned. And I'm kind of fairly new to the business world, of full-time business owner. I spent 25 years in corporate America, and then when I went out on my own in 2019, full-time in business, that was real world networking, doing business, and I learned how to do business, and I learned how to network. And what I found, most people don't really know how to do business in the context of networking. So to Steve Spiro's point, hey, let's get right to it the New York way. What do you need? What's the best referral, or things like that. It's what happened to the business. What happened to, hey, I don't even know if I want to send you anybody, or I don't know if I want you to send me anybody, because you got to be a gatekeeper both ways. We
Yeah.
got to learn about each other, because
Yeah.
I don't know about a lot of people. I want to do business with people. I don't want to do transactions all day long. Well, I know that can be people's MO, and they want to get right to profitability. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I love speaking on stage about topics about connecting and networking. And one of the things the reason I wanted to create the brand Master Connector versus Master Networker, because I think networking has this sort of prostitution, solicitation type of mentality, right? Because it's like it's too transactional, but connecting, right? Creating relationships, right? Steve, I could tell you were getting a little emotional as you're telling the story about the lady has needs, because it means something. It's appealing to our to hearts. So incredible stuff. But on that note, Stephen, certainly you can continue to talk on this a little bit more, but I want to get into value to kind of keep this moving. So community, type in hashtag value, and we're going to get into this. So what strategies do you use, Steve, to consistently bring value to everyone you meet?
Everybody sitting down, John,
Yeah.
Yarn, and Jeff, shut up and listen. A lot of people shut up, and I use the example of Zoom meetings. We're in those networking groups. We'll use that example, and the screen goes black, or the person's head goes away. They shut up, they've muted, but are you listening? And if you just take this from this show today, shut up and listen, and probably the next step, ask, but to shut up and listen so you can learn, not the New York style of he didn't shut up and listen, he just went after it. What can you do with that? The other value of this is it's Christmas every single day. Imagine everybody, when you're 6 years old, what'd you do? You ran to the tree, you started opening your wait for the parents. Sometimes you started early. That's what I feel every day when I meet somebody and I can bring them a resource, a referral, a tip, or just, hey, I love your background, whatever it may be, just bringing the value on every conversation you have. Does it lead to money? Maybe. You don't know the how, why, or where. And that's the beauty of this. Do 10 of these a day. Do 5 of these a day. I guarantee you, I can't tell you when, but I guarantee you, you're going to uplift in your income, in your network, and the quality.
I got to tell you, I mean, what you said right there, Steve. I don't know what it was. I think it was all the foundational work when Steve Spiro and I, were being mentored initially 27 years ago. Again, like I said, I was clueless, and so that foundational work got laid while I really was still working in corporate America. So I didn't have a great chance to really deploy it until I went full-time business. But I went with that servant's heart. I went saying, I'm going to add value. And when I started really networking, and I jumped into networking, and of course, COVID it just slingshotted the networking potential, because it cut out the transportation time. You can jump from a meeting to a meeting in like 5 seconds. So I got to meet more people. And what I did was I never pitched ever. And I would get on there, and I'm a brand builder. I build brands for companies. I also coach on solopreneurs how to build their own brand because they're on a smaller budget. And so when I would get on a call with you, Steve, I'd be like, hey, let me give you something. I'm going to give you something from my arsenal of brand building strategy, all my experience with it, building my own brands, building brands for the people, something you can use now when we leave that will help you. And you want to know what happened was I didn't think about this, but I would get somebody reaching out to me and they would be like, hey, so-and-so told me to reach out to you. They said, you're just like a great guy and you're very insightful. Now, look, I don't really think that I did a lot or have done anything yet, but I got more great connections through people referring me to other connections because they got value out of our meeting.
Absolutely. That's great. One of the things I want to just share in just to piggyback on what you said, when I'm up on stage and, talking about this, a big part of it, obviously being in business development for a while and, breaking those barriers and getting people to get on a call with you, you need to whiff them, the what's in it for me. And it's got to be something that's going to give them value, not something that's going to be valuable for you. So you got to think about that. And then secondly, when you do get on, you can't disappoint because then your reputation is going to be ruined, right? And you're going to get bad press. And so on the calls I do, the connecting calls, I'm always, looking at the end, I throw a minimum of 3 add values at the end, right? And at the end of these calls I have with people, and many of them are like, I wasn't sure. Was I about to get pitched? I didn't know what to expect. This is the first time. I mean, I've never had anyone reach out and want to get on a call with me. I'm like, and I didn't know what to, and every single one, I'm not exaggerating, every single one, man, this was awesome. I really appreciate it. And that's because when you add value, people really see your heart and they appreciate it. So big stuff there.
Yeah. I say this, and you guys listening and writing the comments, transformational, not transactional. Now, transformational is big. We're transforming people. We're just not the little uplift. And that's what, Rob, you were talking about. I remember that every call I jump on this show. How can I transform this show to make it better? My story, whatever it may be. Hey, we're in the people asset business. That's a phrase that I came up with. Maybe somebody did, I don't know. But I love it because we are. Anybody, if you're a massage therapist to Apple, you need people and you need that asset of good people with good relationships. You do that, you'll be successful.
Yeah, that's great.
Just a reminder to our audience, listen, we got Steve Ramone here for just another few minutes, but if you have any questions about what we're talking about here, put them in the comments and we're going to see if we can get to them. We're going to ask Steve, maybe he can answer some of these questions because like I said, we're bringing great people to you, people who have success and accomplishments under the belt. We're bringing them to you. So take advantage of this time with them and put your questions in there. Let's all learn together.
Absolutely. Well, we want to keep this rolling. To me, I mean, the topic today, obviously serve before sell. So we need to cover that topic specifically. So type in #serve. Thanks, Rob G. So Steve, how has focusing on service first helped you build your business and a robust network?
Audience, how would your business change if you had 10 referrals a day? I'll just start with that. That's what I receive. 3 things. I know I'll go to my email box. It might be for my podcast, TV show, or whatever. Hey, you need to meet this guy, Steve Ramona. That's the power of this. When the value comes, you're going to uplift people and they're going to remember you. I always forget the Maya Angelou quote. I'm not going to blow it up, but everybody knows what that means. But that's where serving, and you know the power of this? Anybody can do it. This is just not related to me, Steve, and Rob. You in the audience, people listening to this recording, you all can do it because it's easy to do, hard for the mindset. Because this is like gratitude. You need to practice this. And I tell people all the time, start on a Monday, write down every person you served. And on Friday, figure out how they felt, how you felt. And I think the most important thing, how did your week change?
Love that.
And you understand it and feel it.
It's all about impact. It's all about impact. Love it. So listen, for me, one of the greatest things, because I come across a lot of people through networking and, they're like, I'm not sure what is What is networking going to bring me? Well, first of all, you can't go in there with a gimme mentality. You got to go in with a serving mentality, like we're speaking about. But what does happen through that, organically, naturally, if you're going in with the right heart, is opportunities. So, community, type in hashtag opportunities. And so, Steve, can you discuss a time when prioritizing services, your service or service in general over sales, led to unexpected opportunities?
That's a incredible question. Audience, these are two great hosts. I love being on this show. This is great. And there's a service mentality. I do that to real time. This is what you do. Always edifying people. But 2020 became a part owner of a digital business card company. And I woke up on Monday and saw this company had 20, 30 meetings a week. So I said, Steve, you're going to go to 15 of those a week, every week for 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Guess what? I met 500 new people. Guess what? I was a top sales guy in the company.
Nice. That's awesome.
That's a hell of an opportunity. And I grew, and for 2 years, I kept growing my network. Of course, those 500 people introduced me to more people. This people asset is a compounding effect because people will come back to all three of us and go, hey, you need to meet Rob. You need to see Sparrow. You need to meet Steve Ramona because they bring this value to you. You guys get it like I do. It's so refreshing doing work, and the money, it will come. You mentioned yours, Steve. Your last couple of years were the best. Last year was my best income year in 5 years because I learned to properly network.
That's right.
And what I didn't add before, for the audience's sake, because I get people who be like, yeah, but show me the money. When I talked about the people who are like, hey, you know, so-and-so told me to talk to you, that led to business. Just don't get me wrong. It wasn't just that we were all just holding hands and singing Kumbaya. I was getting clients because other people were recommending other people who were reaching out to me. So it's not just about who's got a bigger network, but nobody's doing business, because I've seen that happen too. Because again, you got to remember, we're doing business. Connecting with people is the vehicle for accomplishing what we want to accomplish. And, you know, getting business is what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, I'm going to nerd out with you guys real quick. Sorry. This is what I tell people all the time. You meet one person and you try to be transactional. Maybe you get them as a client, or you meet one person and bring them value and they bring you 50 referrals. That's happened with a number of people over months. And 10, 15 of those became clients. So run those numbers. I'm going to tell you, they're going to be higher with the guy you brought value to than the person you run transactional. We think short-term, especially with fear of COVID and all this stuff. And it's always happening in our life. We just don't realize it. Be transformational.
I love that. And so, you know, you guys who are relatively new to the show, you know, watching or listening on, you know, to the replay, you know, you may not know the history here, but Rob and I know each other for a long time. Then we eventually reconnected. But the way we reconnected is I noticed Rob was doing some stuff on LinkedIn. He was making some videos, and I reached out. And so opportunity, right? So I reached out. I said, Rob, hey, you know, tell me what you're doing. And, you know, I told him what I was looking to do, become a speaker. He was also pursuing that. And he suggested video. So that got me transformed into the video side. I started doing some videos. I called them Fighter Friday. But he also invited me, oh, hey, you ever think about networking? So I went to a networking group he introduced me to Cameron. And then I wound up going on Cameron's show, his live broadcast, which kind of, you know, hit the bug of maybe I should think about broadcast, applied to LinkedIn Live, and here we are. And now Cameron's back to his rent staffing, but Rob's on with me now. So it's all through like opportunities that you get through networking, and it's all there. So don't be short-sighted. You gotta look back, and often you'll look back and you see, wow, now I see why that happened. But you may not see it right away, but just be open. Just be open. Well, speaking of open, I want to kind of wrap up with, maybe this might be our last question. I was hoping to get to the 6th, but it's on advice, right? So, you know, maybe we could close down with this hashtag advice community. So what advice would you give to someone who's starting out on how to build a strong and valuable network, right? Give us a little bit of insight if you could, Steve.
Get better 1% every day. Just a little bit. And we're in June, so we're halfway through the year. What's that? You'll be up 100% by January 1st, 2025. 100%. Are you going to grow? Are you going to make more income? Are all that things that you're looking for? Your goals going to be closer? They will be. And that's so powerful. And it doesn't have to be a lot. The last thing is we talk value a lot. What I always think, my value could be here if you're looking. I try to go a little 2 or 3% higher. for example, on my podcast, and you guys are doing it, I have a ticker that goes by, and I had a guy, very successful business guy, billionaire, on my show, and he's going, I've never seen that. That's really kind of you to do that. Well, what did I do? Did I make money off him? Hell no. But you know what I did? He'll not forget me. So bring your value to the next level, whatever way you can. That's what I'm always doing.
Love that. Good stuff. All right. Well, Rob, go ahead. I think you got something here.
Yeah. So, we always love to bring, again, talk about value, more value to our audience as much as we possibly can. And Steve has been so good. He's got a giveaway he wants to offer to our audience today. Steve, want to tell him a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a community that my partner, Josh Tapp, who's got a top podcast and has done very well networking. It's a community of entrepreneurs, some podcasters, some guests, but we just get together and network and educate, because I think that's the value. Rob, your story is so wonderful about that little education you gave and you brought value. That's what we do in this community for people.
Love that. It's great. So, and I know Rob put it in the comments, the chat, to go ahead and get that link. But it's great stuff. Well, listen, Steve, we are so blessed to have you on here. Could you just give the audience the best way to reach you and any closing comments that you might have?
Yeah, find me on LinkedIn, Steve Ramona, SteveRamona. You'll see it on the screen. But reach out to me on my cell phone, 408-642-6288, or you can email me, stevr1961@gmail.com.
Look at that. How rare is it to somebody actually give a cell phone out to the public, right? It's amazing. Great stuff. Well, we really appreciate you. Thank you. We're going to drop you in the green room. Hopefully see you in a couple of minutes. Robbie G?
Yeah. So listen, we keep talking about everybody's got a story, and what Steve Ramona was talking about in getting 1% better every day. That's something that I did learn a long time ago. So every day, just make a little bit of improvement. But listen, if you really want to make strides and make great improvements, you learn what I learned a long time ago. That's be able to read the thoughts of successful people and copy what they did. So our own Steve Spiro here, he wrote a book on what he did to get to where he is today. And you can get it. So I'm going to put the link in the chat there, but we want you to pick up Steve's book. It's called The Tao of a Master Connector. It's a great book. I highly recommend you read this book. Coming from a guy who had a successful ad agency, he holds multiple black belts in a couple of different martial arts disciplines, as well as running businesses over the years. So you're going to want to pick that up. I'll put the link in the chat. So Steve, you can, thank you for writing that book. I really appreciate it. And let me find that link now. And I think,
yeah, no problem. I'll cue it up. So, we previewed, we had Alex Sewick on the show a few weeks back, and he's a video producer, videographer, and incredible talent, amazing. And so we just finished the sizzle reel. So you guys are going to get a chance. We're premiering it on the show, the full sizzle reel. Rob, you got that cue? Or do you want me to cue it?
You got it.
All right, cool. Yeah. So I hope to find it here. There we go. So check it out. Yeah, here we go. Ready? Check it out.
Hey, what's going on, friends? It's Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct.
Steve Spiro, you're a mentor, you're a consultant, you're a business owner, but most importantly, you're a host of your own show, and you're also a Master Connector.
I'm an introvert who's now called the Master Connector. Go figure.
I want you to meet 3 strangers every day. When you live in New York, if you talk to strangers, you're going to get shot, kidnapped, or killed. But I did it. It challenged me, got me out of my comfort zone, started building a big network.
I married my high school sweetheart, and we're together for over 30 years. I contribute much of my successes to a strong work ethic, a never quit attitude, discipline, and fearlessness that I cultivated in the martial arts.
Steve is absolutely sensational as a speaker. He can engage your audience, and he can educate your audience.
Steve's message can help your team by building strategic relationships that drive growth and innovation.
What can I do to add value? How can I be a blessing? I want to hear your story. And I started to share my story. I found what happened is the walls came down. It broke barriers. I'm huge on the power of true connection with a massive network. I'm always looking to add value. But my true passion is getting on stages around the world to uplift and inspire people. I enjoy sharing how, through vulnerability and being others focused, you can create deep, meaningful connections. And with true grit, you can accomplish just about anything. Let's connect. Perhaps I'll have you as a guest on one of our shows, or you'd like to have me as a speaker at one of your events, because it's my belief that with the right mindset, together, we can make a huge impact. And who knows, maybe we can even change the world.
Steven,
All right.
After looking at that sizzle reel, I don't know if I'm worthy to be on this show anymore. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It was a labor of love, and I appreciate Alex. So reach out to Alex Sewick if you haven't. Connect with him. Next week, we're going to have an incredible show. As always, Tammy, I believe, let me see here. Tammy Alvarez. Now, she was actually that part of that on that sizzle reel, on that stage. This, you see like a fireplace behind me. I was on her stage. She had a launch party, and she invited me as a keynote there, and that was pretty awesome. But becoming the CEO of your career, it's going to be an incredible show. Don't miss it. Same bad time, same bad channel. And listen, I'm going to end with the story like I always do. And you guys might know the story, may not. But Fred Rogers, famously known as Mr. Rogers, demonstrated servant leadership through his beloved television show, Mr. Rogers, right? Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, right? By focusing on the emotional and educational needs of children, he created a nurturing environment that taught empathy, kindness, and self-worth. His dedication to serving young audiences with respect and compassion inspired generations and left an enduring impact on children's programming and education. Remember, folks, what you do, how you serve can inspire many. Let's always be that light. See you next week.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives